Stuart,
Well,
I have a question, Bob Sink.
yes, Bob.
Rudy used to talk a lot about demanding
Yes.
a spiritual life. How do I demand that's not from the ego?
From who?
How do I demand that's not from ego?
It's not from ego. Look, Bob, if you're hungry to have a spiritual life, that in itself transcends ego. In order to tap that hunger and that need inside yourself, you have to let go of your ego. Your ego will always block you truly demanding that Shakti, that energy, that spirit that will give you the power to have a spiritual life. It will cut it off right at the pass. It's like a good linebacker on a football team. It really just makes the tackle all the time. In order to be hungry, it's essential. I mean, people are hungry for money. They'll do anything for money. And ego will take them into whatever it is they want to get to make money. But we're talking about not transient energy. We're talking about being connected with energy that is the source of all creative energy, infinite energy in the universe. The energy that all of creation is a manifestation of. To tap that energy, your ego has to go by the wayside. Your ego is a transient thing. You die, it dies. You understand? Infinite energy in the universe is more than a transient thing. It is energy that exists in the now and forever. And the energy that most people miss in their daily life, and this is connecting with that energy. They connect with, things in the mind. They connect with basic material needs. They connect with physical needs. They connect with, stuff of that nature, which is all right because we all have material needs. We have physical needs. We have emotional needs. We have we have all these needs. But we can't substitute those needs for a spiritual life. And in order to tap the energy of God, call it whatever you want, God, higher energy, uh, we have to let go. We have to let go of anything that is going to keep us from getting there. And ego will keep you from getting there. Ego will, you know, first of all, it creates a lot of tension, ego. And it creates a lot of problems between oneself and other people. It creates an imperious person who thinks they're better than everybody else, and it's pure nonsense. Nobody's better than anybody else. In fact, one of the great wonders of life is that we all have to listen to each other and learn from each other and not be better. How do we open and allow ourselves to learn from life? We have to let go of the ego. The ego knows better than everybody else. The ego knows better than God. The ego knows better than, all the gods and goddesses in the cosmos and all the higher forces of energy. And it will keep you attached to the one thing that will keep you from having a spiritual life, being attached to the earth, to the ego, to the material world, to making that into your God. Now, I'm not saying we don't need the material world. We do. We need to learn how to live here. We need to learn how to be successful. We need to learn how to, use all of the tools that are available in life, to provide us with, success and, money and all these kinds of things that make life a lot better for us. The earth requires it. We have to do it, but we have to do it without being attached to it. We do it. We do it because of necessity. It has to be done if we're going to live every day. Without money, you don't eat. Without money, you don't pay rent or mortgage. You don't have a house to live in, a place to live. And in today's world, you need lots of money to do all that. So what I'm saying is that there's nothing wrong with wanting these things. Ego will provide some of these things. The problem is transforming the material world, the sensual world into God. That it becomes an end in itself. And it's not an end in itself. It's just a transient energy that comes to us so that we can continue to learn how to grow. I mean, in my life, I've honestly, I've had a lot of money. I've lived on the streets. I mean, I've lived in the whole spectrum, which gives me patience with everybody. It really does, you know? Doesn't matter where people come from, what their background. I'm not interested. My only interest is, do they need to have a spiritual life? And all the rest of it will take care of itself. Because I've been through the whole spectrum, you know, from living in that house I had in Woodstock, which was a freaking palace, the extraordinary house that I had there, making the money to support that. And I remember as a kid living in France on the streets, you know, I mean, not knowing where my next meal was going to come from. So it's all Maya, it's all an illusion, and we can't substitute one thing for another. And the only way I have found out to get out of the illusion is to connect with spiritual energy and to not be afraid, not to be afraid of success, money, you know, being beautiful, having wonderful people in your life, and not to be afraid of these things, having relationships. If you allow them to be your teacher and you don't rely upon them to be God, and you have no expectations about what money will bring, what a relationship will bring, you just do it every day and learn from it and grow from it. Same thing with ego. You learn from it every day and you grow past it every day. Because all of those things just limit us if we turn them into the end of our evolution as human beings. And of course, 98% of the world does that. It turns the material world into, I saw this kind of nice movie, interesting movie on Max the other day, It was kind of a Western movie of two guys that was struggling to be the math, who was going to be the top in the tobacco business. And this one guy, played by Gary Cooper, a very good actor, he played by Gary Cooper, who was a very poor kid. And he used to see the house that the other guy lived in and coveted all his life. And eventually he became so successful that he wound up living in that house, and married to the daughter of the guy who built the house. And the whole thing turned on him. The daughter, anyway, I won't go into it. And at the end of the movie, he's standing there watching the house burn. Yeah, it was incredible. Almost had like spiritual undertones, watching the house burn. And he said, I have no regrets. I have lived there. I am quiet. Now I have to move on in my life. And I think a lot of it is like that. We cling to things instead of learning from them and understanding that whatever we attain in life is just transient, comes and it goes. But if we learn from it and we learn how to grow from it, you understand that it plays an important part in our self learning to be more human, learning to how to have a spiritual life, learning to live at peace with ourselves, learning from it, growing because of what it is teaching us. And I've had that experience so many times in my life, you know. And I remember when after Rudy passed on, you know, I don't know, most of you have never met Rudy, but he was probably the most successful Asian art dealer in the history of America. I mean, it was endless what he had on buildings on Fourth Avenue, on, you know, 10th Street, down in Soho. You know, he was a very wealthy guy, you know. And after he passed on, you know, I was living in Texas and I had this kind of, I hate to say it, was like a stupid antique business selling, you know, oak furniture and, you know, just kind of used furniture and stuff like that. And his mother calls me up and she said to me, Stuart, how would you like to buy 2 truckloads of art for me? So I started to laugh. I said, Ray, do you know where I live? I live in, you know, it's conservative Christian America here. They'll probably crucify me if they see me selling Buddhas. So she said, I don't know, think about it. So I thought about it for 10 minutes, called her back, and I said to myself, where is this going to happen again? Where something of this kind of opportunity is going to come into your life again? Is God talking to you? Do it. Do it. I had about $1,000 to my name, maybe not even that much. And I bought $175,000 worth of art from her with a guarantee to pay her back. And in today's money, it was probably $1.5 million. And I said, how are you going to do this? And I sat down, and every day I worked in myself to tap a higher force of energy in the universe, to draw that energy down, to give me the strength to be able to take care of that element of my life and business. And it began to attract clients in Denton, Texas for the stuff it was amazing. I've seen people coming in, oh yeah, we heard you sell it, we're interested, we, you know. And anyway, it also, what it did, it enabled me to move back to New York when I had to move back to New York. I opened a gallery that looked like I was in business for 20 years. You know, it was amazing. And I still did that inner work, you know, to get the energy, to give me the strength to be able to take care of my responsibilities. And I knew this wasn't the end of my life. This was a learning lesson. How Stuart Perrin is going to get free of his fear of money and success. And finally, one day I paid David Rudo, you know, Rudy's brother, off all the money I owed him. And boy, what a relief, only to get involved with other things that were twice the amount of money, you know, that I had to deal with. Anyway, it was very interesting because it became for me not an end in itself, not to become a successful businessman, but to learn from this process how I can get free of one of the things that frightens most people that live in this world, success and money. And it taught me how to do that. I no longer was afraid of being successful, making money, you know, and you know, it took a huge burden off of my shoulders. And then one day I walked away from the business and I said, I can't do this anymore. You know, it's enough. I've learned what I've had to learn from it. And doing that was a combination of will and need, and using the double breathing exercise to open the chakra system, to draw the energy that made it possible for me to do what I had to do. And I had so many experiences like that. I remember when Rudy came down to Texas, I was working like an animal. I set up ashrams in, you know, Denton and Dallas and in Nacogdoches and Austin. I was traveling all over the place all the time teaching. I was teaching in prisons. I was teaching at university. I was working 18 hours a day. I was also teaching in the Denton ashram 2 classes a day. It was unbelievable. I mean, and Rudy came down, he told me I'm not working hard enough. I, I started to laugh. We were standing on the porch of the meditation center. I said, Rudy, what do you want me to do? Buy that building. And the building was a strip mall, was a shopping center. And I remember I said to him, I said, Rudy, I have $600 to my name. His response was, anyone could do it with money. And you know, a month later, I bought that building. I got the money to do it. It was like a miracle of God. And then to support that building, I had to do the inner work that enabled me to get strong enough to deal with that kind of situation and not be a slave to it. Not, and one day I built this fantastic place in Denton, Texas. Fantastic. I probably be worth $300 million today if I still lived in Denton, Texas. And I mean this. And I one day I said, Stuart, no, you have to go live in New York. And I gave the whole situation up, went and lived in New York and started building a meditation center. I figured if I can do it in New York, I can do it anywhere. So what I'm saying is the ego is part of this, but it's not the end of it. The end of it is what did I learn? How did I grow because of this situation? How did I become more of a human being? How did I get closer to God? How did I grow? How did I learn how to overcome the pressure and tension of what this situation has brought into my life? So, this work that we do is not about escaping the world, it's about living completely in the world. It's embracing life and everything that life has to teach us. And you can't embrace life if you endlessly are hiding out some little corner in a shadow. You got to embrace it. Open. What is it? I mean, I look, I'm not a kid anymore, and I'm just literally regenerating my life with all these things going on today. I'm going, oh my God. And I find it very interesting. And it also is teaching me a great deal about myself and about what I have to do to continue to grow. Life is the greatest teacher, and nobody learns from life if they hide out from it. And this I learned from my teacher, Rudy. Buy that building. Rudy, I'm broke. How am I going to? Anyone could do it with money. And he's right. You have $100 million in the bank. What is it to buy a building for $200,000? It doesn't mean anything. It's like a subway token. You have no money. Can you build the strength in yourself to do it? So this meditation is not about escaping life. It's not about hiding from life. It's about embracing life, the greatest teacher we have, and allowing everything we experience every day to teach us how to continue to grow and build ourselves as human beings and ultimately get free of it. You can't get free of what you haven't experienced. Make a t-shirt like you can't get free of what you haven't experienced. And my life has been all about that. And I tell you, when I was younger, the thought of being in business was a horror to me. The thought of making money was a horror to me. It really was. I wanted to be a writer, a poet, you know, that's what I wanted. And I realized you got to live in the world. You have to live in the world. You can't run away from the world. It is your greatest teacher. So yes, there's ego is part of that, but not not the end of it. It's just part of it. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask?
Thank you, Stuart. That was very good.
You're welcome, Bob. Great question, Bob. Thank you. I never know what comes. These questions are great because I never know what's going to come out of me. I really don't. And it's never really me talking. It's all these teachers and higher energies that work through me that come to not only teach all of you, but to teach me. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask? So don't complain about anything. Learn from it. Just learn from it. What is it teaching you about yourself? What are all those crazy people in your life teaching you? There's something crazy in you and me. That's why they're in our lives. If we get rid of the craziness in ourselves, they will vanish because nothing in us is attracting them. Okay, if there are no more questions, there'll be meditation tomorrow evening. And God bless you all. Thank you. I say it after every class. You're probably tired of hearing it. So God bless you all for being in my life, for, really being here. And your presence really demands that I have to grow tremendously in myself. So thank you and bless you all. There'll be class tomorrow evening, and I'm looking forward to seeing people.
Thank you, Stuart.
Thank
You're
you,
welcome.
Stuart. Thank you.
Thank you, Stuart.
You're welcome. Bye.